Okay, we're going to replace the spark plugs. What you're going to need, ideally, spark plugs. There's 8 of them because I have 4 spark plugs on the top, 4 spark plugs on the bottom, a feeler gauge to make sure that the spark plugs are actually gapped the way they should be. You're going to need a 3/4 inch wrench, most likely a 7/16 inch wrench. You're going to need a socket wrench and a 7/8 socket for your spark plug. This is to remove the spark plugs. And some anti-seize. This is by Champion. You want to put these on the threads of your spark plugs before you put them back in. And then you're going to need a torque wrench. You're going to torque the spark plugs back in. I think all the Lycomings, mine here, the IO 360 is 35 foot-pounds. So we'll torque those back in. So you take the 3/4 side, put it there. And it's just a good idea. You don't always need it, but take your 7/16 and kind of put it on the smaller nut here just to get it started. Once it's loose, you can pretty much just take it off and pull it out. Now you've got the harness off, and there's your spark plug. So we'll do that to all of them. All right, so we'll go ahead and just pull those out. I don't use the torque wrench to kind of do the heavy lifting like undoing spark plugs or whatever. I just use them for torquing. What's that? And it's important to use that anti-seize because you can get some frozen spark plugs. I've never had it happen because I've always used anti-seize, but man, you don't want to mess up your cylinder, that's for sure. All right, so the spark plug's out, and what the mechanic is talking about is the centerpiece right here. It starts to, after a certain amount of time, it starts to oval out. They call it footballing or whatever. It looks like a football. Should be perfectly round. These plugs aren't that bad, but why not change them out? Put some new ones in there. It's been 12 years. Also, these copper washers, you want to change every time after every annual, and you replace or you remove your spark plugs. Check them for lead, for gap. Make sure they're gapped correctly. You want to put a new copper washer on there. Do not reuse your washer. Man, they're looking good, nice and clean. Of course, the top ones always look good. The bottom ones are the messy ones. Take that out. Dry. Engine's running really good. I do see some lead buildup down into the barrel a little bit, but that just comes with flying. But wow, these plugs look really good. So now I'm going to check the gaps on the new plugs, put some anti-seize on the plugs, and install the new plugs. them out like toothpaste. And we're going to gap it. I'm going to use the 18. Man, perfect. Gapped beautifully. I'll just do that the rest of the spark plugs, and then we'll go put them in. All right. Let's do the first one, and this is the anti-seize, and we start about 2 threads back. I also just realized I put the spark plugs, that's how it looks with the anti-seize. The spark plugs in the caddy should be like this, and then they don't fall out. Don't know what I was thinking. Anyways, first one's in, anti-seize is on. All right, put it in. Now, do you just go ahead and put all the spark plugs in and come back and torque them after that? You could. I like to do one thing at a time so I don't forget. So I've got my torque wrench. It is set at 35 foot-pounds. I'm gonna go ahead and torque that in now and not worry about it. First one's in. That's what it should look like. Nice and stable, not going anywhere. All of the spark plugs are in. Now I'm going to put the wires on. Alright, I'm just going to get these bottom ones on, and that's a wrap for the oil change and the spark plugs. Alright, we're going to start on the tires. It's pretty easy to do. So what you're going to need is an air compressor to pump up the tires, your tires, inner tubes. You're going to need tire talc, 7/16" wrench, needle nose pliers or pliers. These are a combination so they can go either way. And new cotter pins. Use hardware from aircraft companies, not from the aeromotive department of Harbor Freight or one of those big box stores. Always use aircraft specific parts. All right. You're also going to need, and this is the big one, jacks, because we've got to jack up the airplane. I've got one in the back there to hold the back down. And we get this jacked up and we'll get started. we just want it high enough that the tires are just off the ground. You don't need them way up there. Just a couple inches. So now the airplane's off the ground. We're going to pull the tires off. All right, so this is what we've got when we pull this off. We've got a cotter pin, this nut, and then these two bolts right here. Go ahead and get started with that. All right, you also may need a screwdriver. Okay, then this just unscrews. Before it comes off, we've got to undo the bolts back here because the brakes are actually holding it on. Now we're going to undo the two brake bolts. So we're going to undo those. Okay, the back brake, or one of the brakes here, is just going to fall. It should just fall right out when we get it out. I'll show you what that looks like. And it's easy to replace your brakes too. I think my brakes are in really good shape. They were just replaced at the last annual. Let's get this one. It should just fall right out, or it might get stuck on the tire, but there we go. There it is. So these two bolts went into here, and it's sandwiched, and then this is your actual brake pad right here, and it's practically new. All right. Anyways, this is what actually holds the tire on, besides that nut and the cotter pin. So now we're going to pull it out. Now your tire's off. That's it. So here's the brakes squeeze here. Your wheel bearings are in here. You've got this snap ring that holds this metal washer in, and then you've got a piece of felt in there, and then you've got your actual wheel bearings. All right, let's go ahead and take this bad boy apart. Okay, something else I forgot to mention, not necessarily necessary, but it sure helps, and that's a valve stem remover. That just gets the air out quicker. And these are not high pressure valve stems like you'll find in the struts of the airplane, which are a special high pressure valve stem. Okay, the air's already coming out. So if you lose these, I mean, if it shoots across the hanger, it's really, there it is. Got it? Set that over here. All right, now what's good about these tires is these rims, this rim, you take these nuts and these bolts out, and it comes apart, and then you just sandwich it back in together. Super easy. So let's see, which side am I going to tackle it from? It's really tight. These bolts are really tight. You can't get a socket in there, so you get it's 1/2 inch. Get your 1/2 inch open end in there. We'll come around the back side on the bolt. On the nut, I mean. We'll get the nut. Get this here. Easy. so I'm actually going to leave those in. Those there, and this will just lift out. Bing. All right, that just comes out. Set it on this side. This is the valve stem side. There we go. There we go. Careful with this valve stem. Get it out. There it is. And then this is this side. And there's your wheel. There's your wheel bearings. There's your wheel bearings. There's your wheel bearings. So put those up. All right. This is your inner tube. And the red dot has worn off this, and these have dots all over it, but usually you get a little red dot on the tire and you put the valve stem lined up with that red dot. It has to do with the balancing. All right, let's go do, let's put a tire together now. I'm gonna put some talc on the inside of the tire, and this makes it so that it helps prevent the inner tube from pinching, and it'll help it slide a little bit into place, getting it into the tire. Do not breathe this talc in. It will put hair on your feet for sure. All right, put some in there. Just kind of start rolling it around. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That is perfect. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's in there well. Let's start fighting this inner tube in. I'm gonna line it up with the red. Okay, so I've got it in. So what we're going to do, I'm going to fire up the air compressor, and we're going to put a little bit of air in here to expand it, making sure it's in there, not rolled over on itself or pinch or anything. So we're going to put a little air in it right now. Let some air out, readjust the tube. All right, so make sure that when you put this back on and the tube comes through here, that it's not coming at an angle. You want it straight on. Okay, everything looks pretty good. great angle. All right, so it's nice and straight. It's coming through nicely. Put that there. Make sure we do not pinch into the tube when we put this on. So let's make sure that we have it all lined up. Yeah, it's not pinching. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and replace the washers with new ones. There's 3 new washers, all aircraft washers. So now we need to line everything up. New washer. Put it in. Alright, there's the first one. Let's put a nut on it. Hold it together. Alright, let's put the next one on. Beautiful. Beautiful. Put the nut on it. All right. All right, so the stem looks good. Bolts are in, they're not tight all the way, but we're going to go ahead and put some air in the tire, make sure it's not pinched. Looks good. All right, that's coming up. So that's good. All right, plenty of room on the stem. Plenty of room on the stem. The tire is now seating. It still needs a lot of air. All right, now that the tire is really kind of seating around everything, we're going to go ahead and finish tightening up the nuts and the bolt. All right, we are tight. Now let's put some air in this thing. 32 pounds. It's incredible. There's 20. There's 26. There's 30. On the money, 32. All right. Look at that. We have got a tire change. I mean, that was super easy. What was it, about a half an hour? Of course, my wife says that I underestimate all the time. This could have been 2 hours. I don't know. It's quick for me. Nice. So now we're going to get it back on the airplane. And then we take the brake caliper, and you want the brakes to be here. These two bolts go in here. So let's go ahead and get them started. All right, beautiful. Let's just go ahead and get that going here. Brakes are connected. All right, let's go ahead and replace this cotter pin. So let's find the right one. I'd say that's a bingo there. It's the same cotter pin. So now here's kind of the tricky part. We're going to put the nut back on. You have to line it up with some grooves in here for the cotter pin, but you also have to put it on tight enough, but not so tight that you've restricted the spinning of the wheel. But I mean, the weight of the plane, and basically you want to go side by side. So that looks pretty good. It's not going to really spin freely. So I think that's pretty good actually. And now we're going to line up the holes. For the cotter pin. And now we got to try to shove this thing back in. It's not the easiest thing. Hey, wait a second, I just may have misspoke. Look at that. I don't know what to say, except every once in a while. All right. All right. There you go. So that's how you put on a tire. That is done. It was not too difficult. Unfortunately, with the tire, you have to have your jacks, and that's big money. That's big ticket item right there. If you can borrow them, that would be great. I've just been so lucky throughout my aviation time that I've had just really good friends that when they kind of age out of flying, I kind of inherit all their stuff. I mean, the jacks, thank you Dennis King, he's no longer with us. And that also includes the nitrogen, a welder in the back, all sorts of hardware, and most of all, experience. These older guys have just taught me so much. Now, granted, you may have a different way of doing it, or you might have seen something that you didn't like that I did. Let me know. Let me know. I haven't had any mishaps. I've had a perfectly safe and good flying career, and I like doing the stuff that I'm allowed to do. I like doing that. I'm saving money, I'm learning, and it's just fun to do. Also, the next thing we need to do is, I'm going to do the next tire. You don't need to go through that one again. But I'm going to lower it, pull it out, start it, make sure that everything is firing correctly. We don't have any leaks from the oil change, and then we've got to log everything in the logbook. And when you log it, you're going to log that you installed the Champion spark plugs, the model number, 8 of them. They were gapped, and then you put your name and your pilot certificate number down, kind of like the mechanic does, where he puts his A&P IA number at the bottom. You just put your certificate number down there. So oil change, spark plugs, tires and tube. Man, good day. And with that, I'm going to finish up the other tire, pull it out, and thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. Peace.